Okay, good evening. The time is 7:03. Sorry for being late just a few minutes. At this time, we'll begin the Raytown Board of Aldermen meeting, December 2nd, 2014, otherwise known as regular session number 40. We'll start, as we normally do, with our friend Michael Stevens from the Southwood United Church of Christ with the invocation and pledge of allegiance, please.
Please join with me in this moment of reflection. O God of this long, long, long road, as we pass through a season of celebration, we recognize that some communities are still in the midst of struggle, some afire literally as well as figuratively. And as we reflect upon our own community, we are grateful for leaders and public servants here in our own community that are committed to a different way of being in the world. We are grateful for schools and religious institutions that are nurturing a generation of people ready to take the next steps toward acceptance and excellence. At this moment, we look back at the journey to see how far we've come. We look forward to see how far we still yet need to go, and recognize that into such a time and place as this, God chooses to be born. Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Michael. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Alderman Kramer.
Here.
Alderman Josh Green.
Here.
Alderman Azier.
Here.
Alderman Jason Green.
Here.
Alderman Emerson.
Here.
Alderman Melson.
Here.
Alderman Ernst.
Here.
Alderman Van Buskirk.
Here.
Alderman Mock.
Here.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Here.
All are present and accounted for. Go to public comments. If you have signed up to speak to the Board of Aldermen, this is the time to report on items that are within our control. No one from the public? Move on then. We have, of course, our big event this coming weekend, especially Friday. A lot of people have put a time and effort into the downtown lighting ceremony that we'll have. Look forward to a great attendance at that. Again, a lot of people work very hard on that. It's a big event for the city of Raytown, certainly the downtown as well. Get your families out, enjoy the festivities. A lot to be had in simply the gathering of people together to celebrate the season. So with that, turn it over to Mahesh for comments from the city administrator.
Good evening, Mayor Bauer, Board of Aldermen. A few items. From time to time, I talk about the blood drive and the next blood drive on December 15th at 3 to 6 p.m. at Raytown EMS, 10,020 East 66th Terrace. You can make an appointment online or you can call 737-6030. One of the pieces of information that is important, 4.5 million Americans would die each year without life-saving blood transfusion. And particularly this time of the year, there is a lot more need. So with this kind of information, if I have anybody encouraged to go and donate their blood, also, from time to time, and important dates in our lives that go through, and there are a number of times goes unnoticed. For example, Mayor Bauer had a birthday on the same night when we approved the budget. October 10th was mine and Mina's 25th anniversary. And October 17th was Mr. and Mrs. Van Busker's 50th anniversary.
I had not been born yet for that anniversary, so if that helps
However,
anybody.
today is also a very important day. It is Steve Mark's birthday. And I told him not to share how old he is, because if I reverse the number, it looks even worse than the regular number.
Oh, yeah. Sweet.
So anyway, I try to be a little bit more cognizant about those dates, because I do know it.
Thank you, sir.
And last couple of days, we have seen an increased number of traffic on the tax collection at our finance window. And this time of the year is kind of expected. One piece of information that is generally a closed session item, however, I think in the event that the amount is such a small, I just wanted to inform the governing body regarding CenturyLink. CenturyLink is a company that provides telecom services. Their presence in Raytown is very minimal. But if you recall, we have been through telecom settlements with a number of other companies in the past. CenturyLink is also one of those companies. However, the amount of tax that we collect from them is very minimal. So even though we are part of the class action lawsuit, with the advice of our general counsel that handle these kind of cases, have suggested that we opt out from that kind of litigation. So I just wanted the governing body to inform you that's the direction we are going to go, because it would cost us more to litigate than the amount we expect. Just an FYI, we'll make that paperwork done in a few days. By doing that, we still have reserving our rights to sue them in the future. With that, I will conclude my report tonight.
Very good. Thank you, sir. I'll start on my left with committee reports. Mr. Lightfoot.
We have no legislative report today.
Mr. Mock.
Yeah, the lighting ceremony was mentioned tonight. It is December the 5th at 6 o'clock. There be from kids' games at the FOP or I'm not for sure on that one. The Raytown High School Choir will be performing. Also, the lights will be turned on there at Raytown Road and Raytown Road and 63rd Street at the Pocket Park. One other thing is, in the last couple of weeks, we've around Raytown, you've probably noticed the bridges on the wooden bridge itself on 63rd Street Bridge being decorated with garland and and other things and this and that. Lights went up today at the Pocket Park, and with all the volunteers from Main Street, our board here, volunteers throughout Raytown. There's special thanks to Mike April, Pam Clark, Phyllis Goforth, and others on this. If we didn't have them helping out, we wouldn't have this holiday celebration. So thank you to them and all the volunteers.
Mr. Van Buskirk.
There will be a meeting of the Sales Tax Oversight Committee meeting. It's scheduled, the committee is scheduled for December 16th at 5:30 p.m. I believe that is on a Tuesday evening, if I'm correct. And I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone in the community a Merry Christmas. I know we have the lighting ceremony coming up, but everyone here and everyone in the community, thank you.
Mr. Ertz.
Police Pension Board will be meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Other than that, I think that's all I have to report.
Ms. Emerson.
Human Relations Committee met last week. We had a really productive meeting. We want all of you to mark on your calendars the Martin Luther King celebration in January. And we understand that we've got some new applicants for our committee, which is really great.
What day in January is that?
I don't know exactly. I didn't bring that. I'm sorry.
Ms. Melson?
Not at this time.
Mr. Azier?
No report.
Mr. Green? Mr. Kramer?
No report.
Mr. Green? Very good, thank you. We'll move on to the study session we have to discuss the winter weather operations. We've got our interim Public Works Director, Mr. Jim Melvin, working in that presentation with his trusty sidekick, Mr. Tony Mesa. It's normally at this time, Jim, that we're all providing Tony with plenty of cakes and treats and hopeful that we'll get our driveways and plowed out and our streets ready to go, so. Getting a lot of those, Tony?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to let you know, MLK Day next year is January 19th.
January 19th.
January 19th. Just want to let you guys know that.
Well, that's a Monday, but they normally have the celebration on a Sunday.
I'm just letting you know, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, sir. Okay, and that completes the winter weather preparedness. Jim, hang on one second. Can they hear you if you're not by the microphone there? Or maybe lift it up. Thank you. Got a lot of people curious at home watching this too. Thank you, sir. Perfect. Thank you.
Again, the purpose of the presentation is to familiarize the committee and the public on the winter weather operations for the City of Raytown Public Works. Topics of discussion for tonight are the missions. What is work with operations, communications item, what can help. First off, what is our mission statement? Snow or ice event occurs, our objective is as quickly as possible, safe and efficient manner. Safety of the public and the personnel should be the highest priority at all times. What is a winter event? Freezing rain, sleet, snow, any of these would be a winter event. Yeah, certainly the person would rather have snow than freezing rain or sleet day. How does Public Works monitor any particular event? Keep an eye on the television during the program. Check the internet for various weather reports on different channels and other different providers. And look for reports from the National Weather Service. We have the Weather Service of our own that we pay for during the winter months. And factors that you have to consider in the winter: how long is the event going to last? What's the intensity of the event? Temperature you're going to be dealing with. Different one. How much sunlight you're going to have. Public Works begin winter weather operations. All the bridges and the major intersections. sometime before that, certainly when we have an event. Plowing for snow events begins in the community. There'll be more information about that during the operation. Picture of several winter events in Raytown from the past. Happening to the north section, notice the primary roads are in red, secondary in green, high priority residential are in black. Same for the central section of the city. Workforce consists of 2 shifts, day shift and a night shift, switch on and off at 6 o'clock. During the day shift, we have 7 employees and 1 supervisor. Night shift, we have 8 employees. Not a really large workforce. Normal work hours, observation of the street maintenance, work rescue event. Night shift. After business hours. Emergency snow ordinance, if it comes into play, public works will contact the U.S. Commander, and request the emergency snow ordinance to be put into place. EOC would then contact the mayor and request that declaration. Once the snowfall has stopped, installing and plowing operations will begin to perform storm clearing. The goal of the street maintenance division is to achieve bare pavement within 36 hours after performing. Priority during the event operation is given to the police, fire, and EMS. Emergency vehicles obviously have to be able to get around. Other duties that we have to do during the event, in addition to the roads, parking lots for the city hall parking lot, gas station, fire and EMS. We also haul off the snow in the downtown parking areas. That's necessary. A small snow event, it may not. Challenges that the drivers have to, how operators have to deal with. Tuck vehicles, how to do the lanes smoothly, park cars, stop vehicles. Don't let the vehicle backing into the snow, while they're trying to get around the snowplow truck. So that's why some of the trucks back them around you as well. That could be hazardous for both the general public and the drivers. Road conditions are a challenge. Hills, coming down the hill makes it difficult. Snow makes it more difficult. Up the hill is always a challenge for the driver. Tree limbs are sometimes down if you have an icy event. Other events are difficult for everyone. Trying to snowplow, federal road and private system. All of them. Invite you at any time. Ride along with any of the drivers. Breakdowns are always another challenge that we have to face. We have a operation. Citizen, what can you do to help get out there and plow the snow? First off, be patient. They're out there, they're working during the snow event. They may not have got to your street yet. They're going to get, prioritize your vehicle trips. Not out on the road any more than you have to. Please park in your driveway so that what can you do as a citizen? Helpful in the driveway. Notice the slide up on the board. No plow will generally plow in the direction of traffic. Right-hand lane, left-hand lane. Take it into account when you're shoveling the driveway. Shoveling uphill way or the direction opposite the direction of traffic from the driveway. Shovel all that off. A couple of feet wide, 24 feet or so ahead of your driveway. When he comes by with that plow, not nearly as likely to go up your driveway, so you have to shovel it again. This is something that people should be aware of. It really will make your job and theirs a lot easier. During the winter, that communication is really important. Staff will send emails notifications updating City Hall and the police department of our progress. Want to report Slick Street, other event that you want to be reported, please call the Public Works Office at 737-6012. Please understand, crews are not going to break away from what their normal operations are. Cause an emergency response. But they will get to your report. They monitor your reports and put that into our operations. They will get there.
Questions, Mr. Melvin? Mr. Kramer?
Is my mic on? Can you hear it? I'm still learning the system. Which one?
You want to push the red button so it's not lighted.
Okay.
There you go.
Anyway, in the past, we have used beet juice with the salt. Can you explain the effect that beet juice has as far as the melting process, but also what it does to preserve our roads?
Yes, sir. Beet juice is essentially a brine, salt brine, so it does help to prevent the snow or ice from sticking to the roadway. Try to get out before the snow or ice actually starts. For that reason, it also does some melting. Actually helps a lot. Biggest effect is prevent the ice and snow from sticking to the pavement. Beet juice itself, which beet juice literally is an ingredient in the white mix, and it will help keep that salt on the road a little longer. That's
Does it actually reduce the temperature level as far as where it provides protection, or?
yes, it will. If you just put salt brine down, normally it'll take down somewhere around 20 degrees. By adding the additional ingredients, we have chloride in there as well as the beet juice. Chloride will drop it down to 15 or actually 10 degrees. That's about, usually that's.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Lightfoot?
Just going to comment on a couple of things. The ride-alongs, a lot of us have done that, and I've done a couple of them over the years. Did one a couple years ago that was one of the 10-foot, or when we had a 10-inch snow in one snowfall, and it was the late night. So the crews, I just want to, really give them a lot of accolades on how hard they work and how dangerous it can be, because you talked about mechanical issues during those kind of situations, and So on that particular ride, they had a hydraulic hose blow that splattered all over the windshield, and it's midnight going down a hill at, in a blizzard. So these guys go through some pretty rough conditions. So it's important to keep that in mind when they do throw some snow in front of your driveway on accident, mainly due to the way you shoveled your driveway out. That's a good point that you made, the way you can shovel your driveway to where when they do come plow, it won't push it right back in front of there. So I just wanted to Tony, there's some large metal plates from some infrastructure improvements we've done off Blue Ridge, like 73rd Terrace. This isn't Ward 5, but along like 73rd Terrace, and the improvements have been done for quite a while, but the big steel plates are still on the road. I've had 2 people call about it, worrying about the snow plows, are probably going to hit those plates. They're not attached to the ground anymore. So.
Be happy to go check on.
All right, anything else? Mr. Mace, anything you want to add?
No snow.
No snow. All right. Mr. Mock?
Yeah, on the tracking of where you've been, can you go back over that and explain that again?
Sure,
With the
I'd be glad
GPS
to.
and this and that.
We use GPS monitoring all vehicles plow, and we can track and tell if the plow is up, if the plow is down, how fast the vehicle is going. We can tell when they've been by and how many times they've been by. It's not uncommon. 331 lane miles. Miss a street or have the appearance of we definitely have the ability, and we do check it often throughout the day and night, make sure we don't. And especially if we're getting into where we think we might be close, we're really monitoring those results, so make sure we get 100%.
Yeah, one other thing with, I know with the overlay and this and that, it's sort of been put off some this year itself. And hopefully we can get some good weather the next 2 weeks, possibly get these metal plates taken up, this and that, and the overlays finished up, hopefully. So, but Tony, to you, your crew, Public Works, thanks a lot for the job well done you guys do every year, okay?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Van Buskirk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a question regarding primary routes versus secondary routes and some specific streets. But since my glasses were confiscated and the drawer was removed up here, I no longer have my reading glasses up here. Thank you.
Here, want to read it?
Tony tells me they're down at Public Works somewhere with a bunch of other items. I'll have to try to find those. I was trying to find, here it is, Jessica Lane and 78th Terrace. It comes across from Woodson over to Westridge. And, yeah, those 2 streets should be a priority. Jessica Lane is what's used by EMS, fire, police when they come in off the highway to go to the nursing homes there, to any of those senior apartments. And they're not going to go all the way down to Westridge to come across. And so that is a priority. 78th Terrace is a street that goes across from Woodson to Westridge that's used. A lot of traffic goes on that, cutting across from Woodson to Westridge, and I think it probably should be a higher priority. At one point in time, that dead ended at 78th Terrace, and so everyone had to go across there, but a lot of people still do that. to avoid going on down to the highway. So I think those are two streets that I'd appreciate if you just take a look at those. And I'll come see you sometime, Tony, and get those reading glasses.
They're actually over in engineering.
I also want to just mention that I get a lot of good comments from citizens of our city. I've seen it firsthand, what a great job you all do with snow removal, and I get a lot of comments from people outside of our city who you come into our city and they go, wow, I wish our city did as good a job with snow removal. So I appreciate what you all do. I know it's a lot of hard work, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you.
Mr. Kramer, I'm sorry. Tony, you want to go ahead and say? Sure.
Jessica Lane is actually a natural turnaround that goes West Bridge. It's priority. And also with the high amount of ambulance traffic that 78 years after traffic count.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Appreciate that.
Mr. Kramer.
I also would like to thank the folks at Public Works for the work they do, and a lot of times what they do is behind the scenes, and we really don't notice it, but when we do get a winter event that calls for their work, they do a fantastic job. And would also like to remind people that it was just last year that Lee Summit City Council was grilling their Public Works Director on why they couldn't clear streets like Raytown does. So, and we did post that on YouTube. So, anyway, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, very good. Jim, thank you for your presentation. Tony, thank you in advance, you and your crews, for all that you are about ready to do for this city, and it's always appreciated by all the citizens for the hard work you and your staff put in. So, thank you very much. All right, with that, we're going to move to the legislative session at this time. We've got 1, 2, 3 items on the consent agenda. Would anyone on this board like to remove any one of those items for handling separately? Mr. Kramer's got the motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Melson's got the second. Discussion before we vote? Call the vote, please.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Nelson?
Yes.
Alderman Knight?
Yes.
Alderman Mock?
Yes.
Alderman Van Buskirk?
Yes.
Alderman Earth?
Yes.
Alderman Emerson?
Yes.
Alderman Jason Green?
Yes.
Alderman Ager?
Yes.
Alderman Josh?
Yes.
All items approved. I want to thank Pat Jackson. She has again agreed to serve another term as the Jackson County Board of Equalization representative for the city, and I appreciate all that Pat does for the city on a number of different efforts. So, Pat, you're much appreciated. Thank you. Move to the regular agenda at this time. I ask the clerk to perform the reading on item number 2, please.
A resolution accepting a community grant from Walmart in the amount of $500 to further the city's community education programs through the Emergency Medical Services Department, and amending the fiscal year 2014-2015 budget to reflect the increase in grant revenues.
We are very proud of our Emergency Medical Services Director. Doug Jonassy is with us to address this issue. Thank you, Doug.
Mr. Mayor, the board. This first one from Walmart is for CPR and other educational aspects. I'd like to thank and commend our administrative assistant, Kim Lesage, for writing this grant and getting it for us. It's our CPR instructors, Brandon James, Berkson, Sarah Brooks, and Pierce. It's just internal, but they CPR voluntarily taken on this extra.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Jonassy?
Motion to approve.
Ms. Melson's got the motion to approve, second by Mr. Kramer. Discussion before we vote, please. Mr. Ertz.
I would too just like to thank the EMS for their educational services they provide. They also taught CPR to the Jackson County Public Water District Number 2, and I appreciate the help you gave us with that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Call the vote, please.
Alderman Milton.
Yes.
Alderman Kramer.
Yes.
Alderman Josh Green.
Yes.
Alderman Jason Green.
Yes.
Alderman Emma.
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Yes.
Alderman Azier.
Yes.
Alderman Emerson.
Yes.
Alderman Earth.
Yes.
Alderman Mott.
Yes.
Ready for item number 3, please.
A resolution accepting a community grant from the Truman Heartland Community Foundation in the amount of $2,500 to further the city's community education programs for the and amending the fiscal year.
Again, Mr. Jonas, anything you'd like to add, sir?
This one is child safety seat. Hundreds. $1,500 RC inspections, as well as providing child safety seats for income parents. Kim Lesage, our administrative assistant, is very instrumental. Well, Sarah Brooks, Aaron Sharp, Zebel, Brandon James, John Thurston. So, given their time and talent to acquire safety sections,
I've learned also that you don't just help the parents put the car seats in, but you also help us grandparents that need help as well, because my grandson's or grandkids' car seat is still in place where you put it in there almost 7 years ago, so it stayed there. All right. Questions of Mr. Jonesy. Mr. Van Buskirk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention, I think I mentioned this last year, because it's been a couple years ago, that I brought a young lady over to EMS who was in need of a car seat for her young child, and Kim Lesage assisted us and did a marvelous job getting that child into the right car seat and showing the parent how to secure it properly and so on and so forth. And I was very impressed with that. And so I think it's a great program. Thank you, Kim, and I want to thank our EMS for providing this. And I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the resolution.
Mr. Van Buskirk's got the motion. I hear a second.
Second.
Ms. Melson's got the second. Into discussion. Mr. Mock, you're up next.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank Kim Lesage. I know, Kim, you do a lot with EMS and putting this program together and everything else, and to the EMS employees also for, with the car seats and putting this together also. Thank you all.
Ms. Melson.
Well, I also want to thank you all about this program, because as going to be newly grandma in a couple of weeks, I'm terrified of putting the car seat in there. It's not like the ones I put her in. So I look forward to be able to come down there and have my questions answered and show me how to do it, get it in there so it stays 7 years so I don't have to worry about it. So I really do appreciate that program, and I know a lot of other people have too, being able to come down there and ask those questions, especially for new grandparents going, I don't know. So we really do appreciate it.
It's great service. Other questions or comments? Got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, ask clerk to call a vote, please.
Alderman Buskirk.
Yes.
Alderman Milton.
Yes.
Alderman Azier.
Yes.
Alderman Mott.
Yes.
Alderman Jason Green.
Yes.
Alderman Earth.
Yes.
Alderman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot,
Yes.
Alderman Josh Green,
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move to item number 4, please.
a resolution designating and authorizing an official to
Thank you,
execute
Doug. Sorry.
and file grant applications with the Environmental Protection Agency, United States of America, for a loan under the Federal Water Pollution Control Act as amended and the Missouri Department of Natural Resources State Revolving Fund Program for loans under the Missouri Clean Water Law.
All right, thank you. We've got Jim Melvin up for discussion on item number 4. Mr. Melvin, is there anything you'd like to add, sir, or Mr. Mesa on item number 4? Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions for Mr. Melvin regarding item number 4? I know you've had this a good number of days and had a chance to review it. Any questions for Mr. Melvin? Board has no questions? We're on item number 4. Thank you. Mr. Kramer's got the motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Melson's got the second. So we've got a motion and a second on item number 4. Any discussion? Mr. Melvin, anything you have an overwhelming desire to share with us before we vote? Perfect. Thank you. I'll ask clerk to call a vote, please.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Nelson,
Yes.
Alderman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Josh Green,
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot,
Yes.
Alderman Mock,
Yes.
Alderman Jason Green,
Yes.
Alderman Azier,
Yes.
Alderman Earth,
Yes.
Alderman Emerson,
Yes.
Moving on to item number 5, please.
a resolution appointing Director of Finance Martha Munt-Smart as a city representative on the Raytown 350 Community Improvement District Board of Directors.
Any questions the board might have for Ms. Henry on this item? Chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Original motion by Mr. Kramer, seconded by Mr. Ertz. Any discussion before we vote on item number 5? Call the vote, please.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Earth,
Yes.
Alderman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Nelson,
Yes.
Alderman Jason Green,
Yes.
Alderman Josh Green,
Yes.
Alderman McGuffert,
Yes.
Alderman Azier,
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot,
Yes.
Alderman Mock,
Yes.
Item number 6, please.
a resolution authorizing and approving change order number 3 to the agreement by and between the City of Raytown and Lina Weaver Construction, Inc. for the White Oak West Line A Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project, accepting all work performed under said agreement and authorizing final payment in the amount of $3,222,690.40.
All right, are there any questions that we need to bring Mr. Melvin up to address on item number 6? Any discussion? Mr. Ertz? Mr. Ertz got the motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Azier. Any further discussion? Mr. Lightfoot?
I did, had some comments about the project and really the road overlay, the final portion of the project that I brought this up at a previous meeting. And I just got to say that the westbound portion of that overlay of the project is still where whether it's manhole covers or water main covers, whatever it is, it's definitely not right, and it's a heck of a bumpy ride. And I get a lot of calls about people saying, "Wow, this project took so long, and once it was done, we felt like it was as bumpy or worse than it was before." And I'm just being honest with the kind of comments I get, and this is quite often. So I just want to know if we looked into getting those, whatever the problem may be, manhole covers, water main covers, addressed.
Yeah, I have met with Craig of the Water District Number 2, and he told me he would fix those themselves, but they have not fixed it yet. I don't know if Pat has any extra information on that.
Busted.
In the westbound is water main, and eastbound is sanitary sewer.
What you have is clusters of water, if it's the places that I know of that we are involved with, is before it was paved, they had asked us to bring out risers to bring up all the manholes, or what we have little valve covers. As it turns out, so we order in those risers, they were not the right height, so that set everything back until the right height comes in. And now you're dealing with weather issues on asphalt, which can't be put down until the weather gets warmer. So I believe they will be replaced, and I believe the city was going to help us with that, but we're just waiting for time, I guess.
They do tend to be in like clusters of 3. And instead of having maybe 3 patches, we might do one large patch for all 3. But it's still a work in progress.
Okay, well, that's good information. At least I can, let them know that there's going to be something more done, because a lot of people think it's a finished project now, but they still experience that, so. It be done before winter, is that the goal?
I don't have any time frame, but it has a lot to do with water main breaks and the weather being 40 or 50 degrees. I don't know what Craig's time schedule is looking like, but it should be. But I will get a hold of Craig this week and get back with progress.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mock.
Yeah, there at Elm and 83rd Street, there's been a cone has been knocked over, flattened probably for 3 weeks. Should I stop by there tomorrow morning and grab that, or, it's just, it's sort of irritating going along there and you see this kind of stuff still out like this and that, and see some places not graded for seed and this and that. And my question was on at Old Camp Little Flower there off 83rd Street, that grading behind, I can tell you, I don't want to mention the yard or anything, but did they ever complete that and get the rocks removed out of there where at least you can mow it? And
They did some work, and the property owner, he was going to have his own landscape company finish that.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of money that was spent on this, okay? And, I totally agree with Mr. Lightfoot here on this one. And I still say there's a few manhole covers over there. So, in fact, there's one just not long ago I drove across, and you could hear the metal itself. It sounded like, back in the 60s driving across that thing. The lid felt like the lid was going to pop. But, it's just certain things. What irritates me is these overruns and having to come back, and next thing this guy's telling us we owe more and more and more. I go back to, this should have been taken care of quite a long time ago on this. We should have known a lot of this before, so, but, that we didn't, but we go on. So I just, letting everyone know how I feel about this street, and, with it being in our wards in Ward 4, that people have concerns with what had happened and this and that, and the length of time it took and this and that, and I'm done.
Mr. Van Buskirk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I concur, there are problems in that westbound lane. I drive it, and I hope we can get that corrected in an expedient manner. I do have questions about some of the new line items. And line item 41, additional pavement demo was needed to remove more of the south side of 83rd Street at 5 locations to get a better slope from the middle of the road to the new curb and gutter along the south side. The plans laid out the curbing much too low. Why was that? What happened?
When the curb and gutter was staked and laid out, and you could physically tell by standing out there, the slope from the middle of the road down to the curb and gutter could have been like a foot drop. The road would have been very tilted, and we needed to raise the curbing maybe 6-8 inches in spots to get a more consistent, closer to the normal 2% slope for the cross slope of the road. I don't know exactly what the engineering issue was, but the way that curb and gutter was designed just wasn't working in the field. So we had to bring everything up.
Okay, and there's two others, or three others, actually. Line item 42, additional grate inlet at 9051 East 83rd was added to help collect runoff at a low point of the curb and gutter, so that sounds like a problem. New line item 43, reconstruct curbs drive to match new road between Kentucky and Hunter. The curb and gutter that was constructed per plan was much too low and had to be removed and replaced at a better elevation to match existing street. Line item 44, reconstruct curbs drive to match new road between 9417 and 9513 East 83rd Street. The curb and gutter that was constructed per plan was much too low and had to be removed and replaced at a better elevation to match the existing street. Sounds like we had some bad plans, bad engineering, what did we have? And why are we paying for it? Should someone else be paying for it?
Yeah. Item 41, 43, and 44, that's all the same issue. The way the plans were designed in the field just was not working. We had to bring each of those curbs up 6, 8 inches, maybe 10 or 12, and we had to adjust some of the driveways as well. But until it was actually done, then we could see how it was just not going to work. So each one of those blocks had to be reconstructed.
Could this have been prevented with a little more foresight?
It could have. The plans were designed probably 5 years before the project was constructed. We no longer had that engineering firm under contract. We weren't working with them. But, yeah, I would say probably should have been something that was designed better from the beginning. This is the product we...
Well, it ended up costing us quite a bit of money. So wherever the mess up, there was some apparently failure there, and it did cost quite a bit to correct it.
We brought the survey company out to make sure they were staking it properly. We had them kind of backtrack themselves and reset their pins and stakes, but everything was done properly. It was just kind of a design bust.
Well, obviously, the money's been spent, so we don't have much choice but to pay the bill, but I think we can ask questions about why the bill is that high. Thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Mr. Hanson, hearing the discussion, my hope certainly is that although we may be giving you authorization for final payment, my hope is that all these matters that you heard tonight and those that are remaining on this punch list, if you will, are complete before that final payment is made. I think we've heard a lot of concern on the board's level tonight that make sure that everything is done before that final payment
Okay.
is made. And I know you will. Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Mr. Mock, I've got you showing you want to say something. All right, thank you, gentlemen. We'll all get used to these lights one of these days. All right, no further discussion? Ask clerk to call the vote, please.
Alderman Ertz,
Yes.
Alderman Avery,
Yes.
Alderman Light,
Yes.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Mock,
Yes.
Alderman Melton,
Yes.
Alderman Mason,
Yes.
Alderman Van Buskirk,
Yes.
Alderman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Josh Green,
Yes.
Motion passes. I'll ask the clerk to perform the first reading on the public hearing, which is to consider a conditional use permit for an auto repair business on property located at 8910 East Highway 350. First reading, please.
an ordinance granting a conditional use permit subject to certain conditions to operate an auto repair business on property located at 8910 East Highway 350, Raytown, Missouri.
We have my favorite Development and Public Affairs Director, Mr. John Benson, to address this matter.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Jason Barton, on behalf of H&H 350 LLC, which is the applicant, is seeking this conditional use permit for a auto repair in conjunction with a tire and wheel retail business at 8910 Highway 350, which is on the northwest corner of the intersection of Highway 350 and Lane Avenue. The applicant is proposing to open a new store here, which would involve remodeling the existing building on the property, as well as adding or constructing an addition onto the front of the property and making other site improvements. Mr. Barton is here tonight, and I will defer to him. He has a brief presentation to give to you that will give more detail about what they're proposing to do on the property, and then be happy to answer any questions following that. The Planning Commission has considered this application and has voted recommending approval of the application by a vote of 8 in favor and 0 against, subject to the conditions that are stipulated in your ordinance that you've received tonight.
Okay. Obviously, we have opened the public hearing. I'll ask the board if they have any ex parte communication they want to share before we go any further. Mr. Lightfoot.
I have had some ex parte communication, but I will weigh all the facts and before I make a decision.
Okay. Anyone else? Very good. Any questions of Mr. Benson before we bring Mr. Barton up? Mr. Barton, you're welcome to make your presentation, sir. Welcome.
Good evening. So, John, can you go to the next slide, please? Just to give you a little background on the business we're proposing. This franchise was opened in 1999 in Tampa, Florida. Currently, there are 75 stores throughout the nation. Our plan is to open our store, this first store in Kansas City here in Raytown, and have a development plan to open an additional 8 more throughout the city and surrounding areas. That's just a little bit of background of R&R itself. John, next slide, please. So this is the current the building as it stands now. What we're planning on doing is demoing the trailer you see to your left, and also demoing the front building, smaller portion, and adding a 3,000 square foot showroom on the front of that. After that, we will repave the parking lot. There'll be curb improvements along 350 Lane Avenue, as well as sidewalk improvements and landscaping improvements along there as well. Next slide. This is a rendering what the building will look like. It's completed that our architect did. And this is just some elevation shots of the proposed building that we plan on doing. This is showing some curb detail along Lane Avenue with some additional stormwater improvements that are proposed as well. Additional drawings showing landscaping, sidewalk, curb improvements along 350 and Lane. These are apologize for being upside down, but these are our landscaping details. There will be additional landscaping along 350 as well. It's not shown there. Originally, we had spoke with MoDOT on where the location of the curb would be, whether it be 2 foot off the shoulder or 5 foot. We moved that to 2 foot off the shoulder, which will allow us to put additional landscaping along 350 Highway.
That's actually a reverse image, isn't it?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
While you're sitting in that spot. And I think that concludes the slides.
Anything else you want to add in your presentation, sir?
No, sir.
Any questions of Mr. Barton? Mr. Mock?
John, I just wondered, I know planning and zoning had got a site plan, but we do not have.
You should have received 11 by 17 in your packet.
Huh?
Well, to interject, many of us don't have a paper packet. We have the web packet.
I've got an extra copy here.
Okay, thanks, guys. And it was,
Unless you have one also. I don't think I've got one. No, I'm talking.
Here, I'll just.
Mr. Lightfoot.
So while they're observing the plans there, I'll ask some questions of the applicant. So I did meet you at Planning and Zoning, but it's a different kind of questioning there. So I'm curious about, this is a wheel and tire rental business?
A retail with payment options tailored towards monthly, biweekly, 120 days, same as cash options for the client or customer.
Okay, so it's a 120-day out type of, if you were to sell them on a rental basis, it's a 120-day period.
Yes.
I see, okay. I had a different impression that it was more of a long-term wheel and tire rental. Just trying to understand the business model a little more.
It's 120 days, same as cash, and there's also a 78-week option as well.
Okay. So, and again, I was curious on this kind of business, which is pretty new to me. I'm not experienced with this type of a business, but I could, surely there's going to be circumstances where someone doesn't pay. How do you get the wheels and tires back? If they're on a 78-week plan, would you tow the cars in and out back to the business, or what would you do?
There's many options. What we do is when we put the tires or wheels on, we bag up the existing tires, give them back to the client, and say, if there's any reason you can't make a payment, let us know, bring the car back in for no cost. We will swap it back out. We understand people run into different issues for whatever reason. Bring it back in, we'll swap it out. There's a process that we go through from 1 to 30 days, depending on the client. We work with them, do our best to keep the tires and wheels on their car. There are some points where they do get repoed, yes, but we do our best not to get to that point.
Well, I understand that, and believe me, I hope you don't have to repo any cars. Just on bad case scenarios, I was just curious how it was done. If there would be tow truck traffic in and out, really is what I'm wondering.
The only tow truck traffic you would see is a individual that for some reason saw our store, the tow truck brought the car to there. We go out and to the swap outs in the field.
I gotcha. So, and it will be a standard retail style store too? Someone could just come in and purchase
Yes.
just tires or
Yes.
wheels and tires? Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Ertz.
Do you sell name brand tires? Is this something that we'd be familiar with if we
Yeah,
went in
it
there?
sells
Firestone
everything. Firestone, Goodyear, Nitto.
So it's a tire
Jackson.
store and I believe Firestone has all kinds of payment options too. When I go down there, I'm sure there's.
Correct. Yeah, but I guess this is a no credit.
Okay.
Is how our payment plan is structured.
Great. And then when you talked a little bit about stormwater, is that the stormwater that would be along Lane Avenue then?
Yes, sir.
That puddles there?
Yeah.
I very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Melson. Or excuse me, Mr. Azier.
A couple questions. Does MoDOT or the city determine the entrance and exit into the business, or do you do that?
From working with John, it was per your 350 corridor guidelines. There is a guideline structure on entrances and exits, and he can probably speak better upon that than I can. But there was conversation between me and John, me and MoDOT, and John and MoDOT to get the whole thing figured out.
I don't see on this the exact drawing for the entrance and exit. I'm just kind of curious what that is. Is that a direct entrance from 350, or do you have to go a roundabout way to get to it?
There will be a direct entrance off of Highway 350 on the property. There's currently 2 entrances onto that property. They're actually going to remove both of the existing entrances and rebuild or construct a new entrance further on the west end of the property along Highway 350. And then the existing entrance on Lane Avenue will be narrowed down so it's not so wide. It will be moved slightly further north away from Highway 350 to increase some of its distance. Originally, we wanted it moved further north, but because of the topography of the site, we could not, in the existing building on the property, it wasn't possible to put the driveway on the north end of the property along Lane and make the grades work onto the property. So on a redevelopment project like this, we worked with what we had available. The entrance on 350 Highway that they'll be building will also, in the future, could serve as access to the adjoining property to the west at such point that something redevelops on, or not that anything is planned on, it's a veterinary clinic on there, but if they should ever redevelop that site or their parking lot area, they would provide access or gain access through this driveway as well.
One thing I think that gives Raytown an advantage on 350 is that we don't have the multi-mazes that Lee Summit has. Our businesses generally are very easy to get in and out of. I think that's attractive to people passing by. It's a quicker stop, and it works all the time, whereas in Lee Summit, they oftentimes have to make changes at holidays. The other thing is, forget that street, I want to say Lane, but the street that runs along the north-south street next to that business is an overflow street, meaning that a lot of people will take that avenue to hit 350 Highway. I think that currently that street is kind of a sharp corner to turn. I don't know if that's going to be altered. And there's also like a drainage area right there, so when you turn the corner, you sometimes either hit the curb or go in the drainage ditch. Will that be altered at all?
If it's the street I'm thinking of, it doesn't abut this property, so that intersection, is it the street by the convenience store further to the west?
I just know that when you turn the corner, his business
It's an
will be
awkward
right there.
turn, yeah. That intersection won't be altered. This one at Lane and 350 there'll be curbing put in and storm drainage added that will address the drainage issues along Lane Avenue, where we currently have problems, as Alderman Ertz alluded to, some ponding that occurs along the edge of Lane there in front of this property. That will be addressed as part of this project. Part of that, the applicant actually will not be, he's designed the improvements for Lane Avenue, and he's agreed to pay the cost of those improvements. He will actually not be making those, or his contractor will not be making those improvements on Lane. The city will be doing that at a later date, because when those improvements on Lane occur, the water, instead of ponding on Lane Avenue in that ditch, will be conveyed and it will go to the east, and the city needs to construct some stormwater improvements further to the east to convey that, or to pick up that water and move it along. And we don't have that project in the plans currently. We have to do some design work on that and get that funded. And so we're, at your next meeting, you will have, in addition to the second reading on this application, a development agreement between the city and the applicant to basically place the money that he would otherwise spend for those improvements into an escrow account that the city then can access and use when our project is ready to move forward, and then we'll do the whole project at once along Lane. He will still construct the improvements along Highway 350, though, so you'll see those on 350 Highway occur.
How long will the delay be between when he completes his business and the city does the improvement to Lane?
We don't have that timeline defined yet because we don't have the funding in place, and we still have to get a engineer hired or selected to do the design work for the city's portion of the work.
But the ballpark is at least a year, isn't it?
At least a year, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably looking a little bit more than a year.
More than, okay. And then I think that his business would be next to the animal clinic?
That's correct.
And next to the animal clinic is a gravel road that people use as an undesigned through street to get off 350 Highway and take a shortcut. So will his business then, I mean, right now there's some shrubbery, I think, separating it. When they build, is that going to open that area up?
It won't touch that area. It will just, his improvements will stop on the property line between his property and the animal clinic's property, which would be the east side of the animal clinic.
Okay. It's a little tricky there because people going east on 350 make that turn by the Dairy Queen. Sometimes they cut behind the gas station. They go through the animal clinic, and they come out that way too on all three sides, which would include your property, which is becoming a little more, I just don't know how his business will affect that, because that's a daily thing. It's a regular thing.
Right, the applicant's agreed with his driveway on Highway 350. He's agreed to dedicate a cross-access easement at his driveway over, that will come onto his property, then extend over to the west property line. So at a future date, as that area further to the west redevelops over time, if and when it redevelops over time, this access drive that he's constructing will provide access, and we can start to address some of those issues over time. Exactly how that will all end up is yet to be designed and determined, but we are aware of that and looking to the future and addressing those issues.
I guess I would just like to end with one comment. We have a few tire places and repair places in Raytown that I've noticed, every single one of them, that after they've been open for a while, the interior waiting area tends to be often dirty, cluttered, not very appealing. I see you're a national company, or at least a large scale. Do you have a plan? I mean, I can't just say you're going to be like that, but do you have a policy? That's what I really want to know.
Yeah, for the franchise agreement, there's a daily checklist, a nightly checklist that encompasses cleaning, keeping the weight room customer friendly. I'm gonna have TVs and a nice. I mean, it's gonna be nice. I mean, I can sit here and tell you all day long that yeah, I'm gonna do that, but it's structured in the franchise plan that for our agreement with them, that there's guidelines that I have to follow.
Okay, I do appreciate that. Again, we'd like to see our business to be upscale, and certainly if you want to compete, it'd be pretty easy because the other ones don't do a very good job. Thank you.
Mr. Mock.
Hey, okay. All right. Is it Jason Barton?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask this question. Have you bought the property?
I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I know, but, okay. Got a question on time you'll be open at and closed?
I guess that brings a good question up that I was gonna get your guys' feeling on, and by no means do I want to come in here and step on toes, and believe me, I understand the process that you guys and policies you go through. I would like to begin demo of the trailer and removal of that in the building as soon as possible. I don't know how that works with your approval. By no means do I assume you guys are approving anything.
Do we get to help with that, by the way?
Yeah, don't take your time on that one.
If you guys want to come out, I'll supply the sledgehammers, hard hat, and safety glasses.
Got him.
Plenty of hard hats.
But, yeah, our plan is to get that area cleaned up as soon as possible.
Okay, and days that you'll be open?
The days of the week, or days until we open, we're planning
No,
on opening?
days of the week.
Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday, okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Melson.
And what times will you be open?
Our scheduled times are 9 to 6, but I will tell you that I've been down and worked in these stores already, down in Arkansas and some surrounding areas, and it will be later than 6 sometimes, just to make sure we get clients and customers taken care of, so.
Okay. And so people are coming in here to rent tires? Am I
That's one of
understanding?
the options. They can normally, you have your regular retail.
Right.
They have also the option to 120 days, same as cash. So if they don't have the cash to buy it at that time, it gives them a little bit of time to get that money collected and pay that off, getting the same price as that day. And there's also, they can take a payment plan that's structured on how they get paid, which is weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly.
Right, okay. And so I was reading that, so you will have a lot of tires coming through there that are being taken off vehicles and replaced with new ones?
Yes.
Okay. So in the minutes that we have here, it says that you have a tire recycling building about 5 minutes away.
Yes.
Where would that be?
That's down kind of off over I-70, crosses the river, just north of that.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a tire and recycling place over there. It might be a little longer.
Oh, okay, okay.
5 miles, but.
Okay. All right, and so how long do you usually keep the tire, I mean, is that a daily thing that you take the tires down there and?
My hope is that I have enough customers that it gets to a daily thing.
Right.
But we won't be leaving tires out. I'm going to have a trailer that my truck will take. Once we get a load, they're going to go in the trailer, and the trailer will take it to the tire.
So The other